Hi everyone, my name is Jose Fernandez and I came here to rock. Never gets old. So, this is the first time you're watching the stream series. Thank you. I normally stream unrehearsed. That has its charms. So, let's see how that goes. Let me just do a little bit of housework here. Mm, let's see. I think that should be good. So, I think it's been a couple of weeks since I've done one of these. The very last time, it was just trying to improve slides for this workshop that I've been giving. It's hard work, and I've been using kind of like these mornings to take questions, work on some of the content, and just jam out to music while I'm doing it. So our unofficial band is Dance with the Dead. They I asked them for permission to like use their music before for kind of like this video that we did for Cleared 4, which is our range. And they accommodated. They were like, hey, as long as you give us credit, that's good enough. One of the songs that they've recently dropped, I believe they've sold the rights to it as Twitch muted part of my stream when I played the song, and I've removed it from my playlist. So it's trial and error. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time and you don't have a Cleared 4 account, don't despair. There's some things that we can do that you can just watch and do with us. We will have early adopter accounts available on, I want to say, April 29th through the 30th of this month during BSides Charm. I normally, with my company, I like sponsor this event. And I thought, instead of sponsoring this year, let me just do a workshop instead. Since when you sponsor these events, it's difficult because you're basically manning that booth or that area that you've been given, and it doesn't give you time to like sit into the talks. Particularly, in my case, still a small company. I don't really get to engage the same way with participants since I'm there as a vendor. But look, it's this would be the third time I've given the workshop. I got really good feedback from the last participants that were at BSides Tampa. Let me check chat here. Yeah, so if you have any questions like whatsoever, please just let me know. I will try to do my best to answer them. If you want to see, if there's anything that you want to see, like either something that you want to try out or you want me to try it out, like let me know, because I'm definitely incorporating new content, new material into this workshop. I'm refining some of the existing material that's there. Like I understand that it has its limitations, particularly because there are many skill sets that are being evaluated here, not only in Windows and Linux. There's also familiarity with like containers using Docker and malware analysis. So that's like two big areas already condensed into the use of containers, and then malware analysis, which as a whole is very comprehensive and can mean many things. So with that, I don't know if I'm actually going to be using like the back end kind of like Cleared 4 kind of stuff today, because here let me show you what I kind of had in mind. So normally I log in here and I'll instance things. And I got some templates. Some of these are the templates that we've been using like during the workshop. Now for the Windows one, the way that I did Docker on Windows was, well, I kind of cheated, to be honest, because it can get very expensive. You basically need something, you need an instance that basically can run within kind of like, you're either getting bare metal or you're getting an instance that's a virtualized instance that will allow the installation of Hyper-V, which detects has some like CPU requirements as part of its setup in order to then be able to install Docker for Windows. Now, the issue with that is it can get pretty expensive. And one of the things that I'm also trying to limit is, kind of like the cost overruns when I do these workshops. So early adopters pay like $1 one time, which is great, but we still have to pay for whatever participants and students and early adopters are using. So it adds up a little bit over time. Now I'm trying to share a window here. Let me see. I do have it up. Maybe when it's full screened like this doesn't permit this. I'm gonna try something here. So basically I'm thinking I just want to do some Windows stuff today. And I'm trying to share this thing. I'm always upset how the music player changes every time I switch between one thing and the other. So let me get a little bit organized here. So if I close this, it doesn't really go away. My streaming software crashed quite a few times. The last time I did this, like I think I streamed for maybe 3.5 hours and it crashed 3 or 4 times. So the next couple of weeks for me, it's just going to be like doing like workshop development. I submitted a talk to DEF CON, the like biohacking village, for like a CPAP machine, kind of like related talk. So here's the CPAP machine. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So like this thing it's part of a recall that they have right now, and I saw CNN yesterday. Yesterday being April 7th. And they basically have like a big recall for some of these models. Not exactly mine, but they're doing a recall on these like DreamStation CPAP machines from Philips. I'm not 100% sure exactly why. So the machine that I just kind of like held there right now is part of a recall because of presumably, I want to say it's this thing. So it's like these type of little filters things that get in there. So basically, as here's kind of like I think the name is whatchamacallit. What do they call these things? It's not really like an evaporator, but this is what basically like retains water and heats it up. So that way, as air is being pushed into you, it's not like super dry and basically like cooks you from the inside. So like that little filter thing apparently it's like I want to say it's like PPE, which is I want to say it's like polypropylene styrene. No, I can't really pronounce the scientific name if I don't have it in front of me, but it basically gets into your lungs, and it's not something you want, and can probably lead to other like health issues, respiratory, for the most part. So they were doing a recall for that, but I was like, hey, let's open this thing up and inspect it first, because why not? Now, let's see here. What I am trying to share is a pretty simple window. I might just have to do like a new source here in order to grab it. I'm not really sure why my existing sources just don't connect to it. Just bear with me a sec here. Let's do this one. I'm going to call this this. And the source is going to be, you. Cool. So this is what it looks like for me. Like a backend, right? So this is Windows Server 2022 running Docker Desktop. one of the things that I noticed from like the previous lab was, yeah, I don't think it would. And I have a Windows like 2019 like instance there right now on EC2. I don't think you can install Hyper-V there, and that was like one of the things that I discovered like 4 months ago when I gave this workshop the first time, because I thought it's like, oh, containers on Windows. I've kind of heard about it, but I wasn't really 100% sure. And it basically has to do so like these like EC2 instances. If you want to use AWS, you're basically you have to use a metal instance. And a metal instance, I think it was like the cheapest thing, even as maybe as a spot instance, it's more affordable. But the smallest metal instance they had that I could install this thing, yeah, it adds up. So that's why instead, when if you took the like workshop at BSides Tampa, or if you've taken this workshop previously, I just stood up a 2022 server on VMware, and I installed OpenSSH on that server. So then when you took that workshop, where you were interacting with was OpenSSH, and as soon as you connected, it would just run PowerShell. So this way, I could have a lot of participants, effectively reducing some of my costs, because I already, like, bare metal is cheaper nowadays for some things, and this thing just didn't make financial sense to me to just run in the cloud as well, like some of these other things. Particularly since I couldn't provision everybody a metal instance, and like the EC2 instances that we've been using so far for this workshop were designed to just basically also give you like your own static IP, to reduce some likelihoods of associated with repetition of activity, right? Because you're basically standing these things up, you're doing stuff, and then you're storing it out. Granted, those IP ranges are very predictable because it's coming from the same provider. But yeah, if you want to do this by yourself, there are some things that I could do like right now on the back end, but hear me out first, because I can switch some of the back end scripts to potentially give you access to this. But my concern is there's I put like a hard cap on users, because I think it was like maybe 30 accounts, and we definitely have more EAs than that. And I don't want it to be a race condition where whoever signs up first sees these things and can access them. So let me know. Just let me know in the chat if you want me to try and turn it on. If not, you can just kind of like watch, and you'll see some of the things that we didn't really discuss during the workshop, which is like, thank you. The way Windows manages containers is a lot different than it is on Linux, particularly since it's installing Hyper-V, it's launching things like in its own like virtual machine. So this is kind of like what Docker Desktop looks like. Here you can like some guides here, some images. So these are like the base images that we were using. I want to say we were using like Server Core. So this is the one that I set up for the first iteration of the UCTAMAS workshop. Still, they're pretty big, right? Because they're Windows images. These are the volumes that we made in the last part of the workshop. I am going to change the way that the workshop kind of flows. We're going to still do that refresher, but it's going to be very pinpointed, and I'm just going to go through it very quickly. And I realized that just doing that refresher takes about an hour and a half. Each time I do it, it takes between an hour and a half, depending on the amount of students I have. And it really takes away from the analysis part, which is obviously much harder to kind of like teach in those condensed time frames. But So here's some of the volumes that we were making. So I'm going to change the workflow from, we're going to start with the refresher, and then we're going to move into the Windows section. And the way that I showed the Windows section on both times, we were using PowerShell to pull down tools. As a non-administrator user, we're still able to run containers, pull images, and make volumes and stuff like that, but we don't have admin privileges. And basically the pasteable commands right now that are on GitHub, they're kind of designed there to kind of show that difference of like, oh, hey, so it's like the administrator is hosting some tools here, but you can't actually pull those things now, and you can't do those mount tricks that we showed on the Linux portion of the workshop, where you can just mount roots folder, even though you can't navigate to roots folder as a normal user. Even though you're part of the Docker group, then you can do those mounts, and that access is enabled. That doesn't work on Windows. So like an admin view here, I'm thinking about just making kind of like a tools thing here. And I'm just going to call this, so let's call these, just going to call it workshop tools. I'm going to create this thing. And I'm going to basically pre-stage the binaries. So that way when participants go in there, we're going to have another volume here for samples. Right? So goals for today. I would really like for the like server core image to have Python installed, right? Like by default, these things are going to have PowerShell, not going to have Python. So then I still want maybe people to use the malware daily to pull down samples. But honestly, maybe we don't need to. Maybe we can just focus on the analysis part. And then when we get to the third workshop, which would now be the Linux one, I could do that. I could show how you would run that, but I would still kind of like to have Python there in case people want to use it, because, you know, why not? So let's see. So I've made the 2 volumes that I want. I have an image already. So it's server core. We updated it like during class. There's actions here that you can do. So if I pull this, it's still up to date, right? So this is also, you know, the nice thing about having a GUI for these things. On the Linux side, you could use something like Portainer, where we did like Docker PS. You can find out where things are installed. All right, so PSA, there shouldn't be any containers. So Docker images, if I, spell. So I could do like Docker inspect, and I can find out where things are installed. Hey. Dir program data, Windows filter. Wow, it's very different, like system path. I think the other one is Docker system info. I'm trying to determine right now where my storage driver is, and basically see this Docker root dir, program data Docker. That's where we're going to go. Is those volumes and stuff that I just made right now are going to be there. There are these volumes, and look, here we have the samples underscore data, and this is where we can put files in without having to use Docker commands. And that's only really possible because I'm using the default storage driver. I know I didn't really get to explain this very much, and it was because I was using the workshop content as I was a student, not as a somebody with administrative access to the back end to enable all this. Okay, so let's go here. So do I have Python installed here? I want to say no. I don't think I have Python installed here. So let me just do this. I do have Chrome, which is cool. I don't think I installed many things on this server instance. So I'm definitely gonna get the two. I'm gonna get these two tools from Mandiant. I'm gonna use Kappa, which we used on the workshop, and I'm gonna go get. I think it's like Go Resim. So Python Windows, and then Mandiant Kappa. I want to say I think I already have Kappa in my admin folder for this machine. So that's version 4. Okay, so there's definitely a newer one, so I can do that. Oh, and then I can also put all the 7-zip stuff in, right? So that way we don't have to have students do all the sweat work of I need to pull extraction utilities, and I need to use an extractor to get the extraction utility that I really need. I thought that was, I think it's interesting, and maybe for like a sweaty red teamer kind of like focus course, that'd be good, but maybe not for this one. So let's see. I hired Mandiant, Kappa. Mandianta. It's Italian now. I can get this release. And this is just so I can just run the malware daily on basically the host. Now, how about this? How about if I wanted to give this Windows base image access to Python, I would have to install Python within the container it would just have to be through CLI though. I've never actually done that. Is that even possible? So that'd be a good thing to install here. So let's make that kind of like a tertiary goal for today. So getting the tools, freaking easy. Just get the releases. They're already compiled. We've already determined that they work inside the containers. So let's do that. Here we go. So for Windows, it's 29 megs. It's not much. That's one. So then I can just do Go Resim is somewhere here. Yep. This is more for malware samples that we know be useful. Chocolatey, is that like a installer wrapper for like Python? I'm not familiar with that. Some of the stuff like Python. What is that? So I have simple tools here. Workshop tools. Machine level. Okay. I've not heard of this. All right, I'll bite. Not used this before. So I have Go Resim. I already extracted Kappa, so I can go here. Extract this. I don't really need to extract all of them. And I have Kappa and I have GoResim. Did I pull Python already? I don't think I did. Because I at least want it on the like base OS. So I can pull down the samples. And I do have Defender enabled, right? So this is I think this happened during the last workshop where the sample that I was using for us to like analyze is now flagged and detected by Defender as the sample is being analyzed. So then usually the tool just craps out and stops its analysis. Now, let's see here. I'm just leave this installing here. I still need it on the base OS. I'm going to add this to the path. And sure. That's pretty interesting. So it's, I guess it's, so it's somewhat akin to like a packet manager. But in this case, it's also, it looks like deployment scripts. One of the things I was using to like overcome this when we have to like manage like Windows networks is I use something like PDQ. It's not, I think it's like license is usually about $500 a year, but it's pretty good. It's pricing look on this. Just a lot less. Up to 8 machines. Okay. So like PDQ, it just lets you, I think it's like a user license. So one user and you can use it on as many servers as you want. That's cool. Okay. Man, I'll definitely have to check this out. I mean, willing to try it. Let's see, create packages, stuff like that. All right, so let's do this. Let's look at what's currently out there already, because I mean, we didn't.
Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon.
Let's see what other people have done to like do this before. So, deploying Python in Windows containers. How to host the Python on Windows app service. So maybe it's part of like the Docker build. I could push the files into the file system that way and register the path. That seems odd. The containerized Python web app. No. How to Docker? Nope. Windows. There we go. Windows base image with Python by Microsoft. We're not building this container image. However, you can use base OS. So this is getting us. And it is a Microsoft thing. What is this? I wonder what that means. CSSC. CSSC. I mean, shit, it already has it, so there would be a shame not to use it. Let's see. Windows base image with Python. All right, how about this? Windows base image? Nope. This is the like weird thing, I guess, for Docker Hub. You would expect this to take me to the same damn thing we just saw. Not so much. So we basically, and I think I did this in the last workshop, as opposed to using search, you basically break it down to, let's go here to server core, Windows, CSSC. So we have a path here, and it won't let me navigate to it. Sad. Windows-based servers, images. This is Microsoft's container registry. Artifact registry, MCR. Container, Microsoft Container Registry, Artifact registry. Not confusing at all. Cognitive, custom API images. Maybe that's something I need to explain in the workshop. If you want Microsoft stuff, check their MCR first. Three 3.7. So notice how we just installed like 3.11. We get 3.7. All right, 3.7, Are there things in 3.11 that are currently not in 3.7? So I think for the purpose of the tools that we're going to be using, like there's this like neat tool that I like using called Malware-View. Malware. And I know there's a newer version. Yep. What does this need? 3.9. So that wouldn't work. How would we make our own base images? Maybe they have like a Docker build thing. Pardon. Like somewhere on a Git repo. So you can see how it gets packaged. Windows CSC. We're not building this container release. However, you can use base OS with the image that comes with. That kind of sucks. And like this is why you have to just do like research like ahead of time for a lot of these things, because you'd expect these things to already exist and be out there, but not so much. So if I were to use something like Chocolatey to build a package installation for this container, it would just be a matter of narrowing down all the dependencies needed to deploy this. But because remember, when you're running these like Windows containers, they're not really the same. They have some of the same elements, and yet there aren't going to be any graphic prompts. For one, complete CLI installation. The other thing I could do is probably find physically the things that get installed and copied out. Like for example, is it like program files? Where did this install? I mean, I did see it. Where was the path? App data, local. That's why. Okay, so it's doing these type of like localized installations. Update a local and ooh. If I were to copy this thing and I was to tell the Windows container, hey, if you need Python stuff, here's the path, that would maybe work. What do y'all think? Do you think that would work? In chat. That could be something worth doing. Okay, so the other thing that I need to do is I need to do to github.com. I'm just going to grab our like malware daily thing. So in theory, if I go to downloads, Python 3, is it path or is it just Python right now? Let me just restart this. This is just Python. Yep. Downloads. 543, so it would be like Python, malware daily. I'm still getting used to this keyboard. We don't have requests. So do I have pip? Pip install. I think I need request tdqm. And yeah, give it a shot. Okay. I will install. I don't know why I'm speaking Italian today. I don't know why. And what was the other thing that I need? I think it has like a decompression thing. No, it works. All right, cool. So I am going to do a pull, and then I'm going to dump stuff in volumes, samples, data. So I can just completely cheat here. And that's what we're going for. So this way, as a participant for like future workshops, I don't have to like worry about asking the participants to pull down samples and tools and stuff like that using the like PowerShell commands that we were using that are basically just like invoke web requests. And it kind of sucks, honestly, having just to do that CLI, right? So we're going to be able to cheat here, and that looks like 96 megs. All right, so it's going to take a little bit. The weird thing is after this pulls down daily samples from Malware-Bazaar, it's going to extract these things. And I do have Defender on, and see, I don't have exceptions. Because my thing is it is different when you're doing analysis within containers like this, and maybe it would be better to only analyze Linux samples in Windows containers, because if you're doing exceptions, then you're losing some of the protections the operating system is affording you, even if you're running them in containers, and these containers aren't really administrators, or they can traverse and become administrators on the host OS, because at least on Windows they would basically become administrators best case in the virtual machine that's running Docker Engine in the back end for Hyper-V. Let's see how Hyper-V looks like running all this stuff. I don't think I have anything else here. So it doesn't seem like all the samples that I pulled are going to survive. Some of them are going to get deleted. EXEs and Windows, like 100%, like Defender is going to like scan and do stuff like this. But look, this is pretty curious, because even though this thing uses Hyper-V. You don't really see a virtual machine here, right? Docker Desktop is running, so these are kind of like the interesting aspects of how Docker gets deployed on a Windows system, because it has a Hyper-V requirement, but then when you go in here, it's like, show me the machine. Yeah, where is it? Is it hidden? No. It's kind of weird how it works that way. So I'm going to let all these AV threats eventually just do the thing. Hopefully the tool worked like I told it to, and I can see that it did because I have the samples data. It's going to have a whole bunch of stuff there. So out of how many things it said it wanted to pull. So when I run malware daily on the script, by default, it's only going to yank EXEs and DLLs. So it found 78 EXEs and 2 DLLs. And there were 209 files with no extensions. I don't think it actually extracts those. I think that's a misnomer in my script right now. I think I'm just printing that out for like information, but when it does the actual extraction, it's not going to extract things from this zip file that don't have file extensions. There are some improvements that I would like to make on this script, but that stream series for like thread hunting Thursdays, I haven't done one of those in a while since I'm basically just reamping this workshop. That malware daily script was a derivative of a tool that I was creating during that stream series, and like all things, man, it's just
He's dead, Jim.
it's a lot of work, especially coming home from working long hours, doing a stream series. Initially, it was with somebody else, and then that person wasn't able to, keep that time commitment, right? Because we all have things to do. But look, we got it done, and it did work for a little bit. It was kind of hard though. Not gonna lie. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, the code is on our GitHub. The tools that we were making for thread hunting Thursdays are on CompSec Direct /defer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so we did like this multi-yargen thing, how to disable like folder execution. Did like a very simple PowerShell script. After doing a live demo, I self-infected the machine that I was operating accidentally, and it wasn't staged or anything. Like it literally did, self-infect, and that wasn't part of the. It's not what I wanted to do. Oh man, that was bad. ¿Qué más?
The boogeyman is real, and you found him.
We started to look at how this thing was calling out, and it did look like it had joined some form of, if it didn't have like an established connection to like a botnet or a C2 or something like that, but we could tell that the operating system had changed, that it had made some calls, and it was basically just idle. So look, a lot of Trojans and stuff like that, and I am running this with as an administrator, but Defender is going to catch most of these, because all I'm doing is extracting these things. They're not being executed. So other things that we could do is like we can use a script like this to disable folder execution. So if we're ever, like very, very scared about I don't want to risk additional self-infection. So what we can do is this script is basically like iCackles, and it just removes execution permissions from a folder. So I can go here. I know this is done, and I know that my file is here, and I really want to ls. Yes. So I could just do this disable folder. I have to move this and make it into a PowerShell thing again. And then I can just disable this thing. And I want to say the flag is a P for path. So it's whatever is the first argument. Folder. Oh, it's going to read host. So it's going to prompt me. Cool. So I can just do this. I am the administrator. Oh, so I need to change the execution policy. So set execution policy to I'm not going to digitally sign this. That's what happens when you work on ASCII art. So let's make this where we're holding our samples. Let's make that non-executable, so that way people don't mess up. Now the thing is, okay, so I'm an administrator. Maybe I should snapshot. How about this? I'm confident in the script, but I like having backups of stuff, and I don't like have to restarting work. So the snapshot I have of this thing is from like a week ago, and I've already started doing stuff. I'm not gonna risk it. Too chicken. Let's see. Okay, so this nmap setup. So I can just throw that in there. Even though it's in the samples folder. See, it won't execute anymore. Let me just get rid of that. All right, so now we have kind of like a little dumb safety net here on our side. I'm gonna let Windows Defender kill the rest of these things. So it looks like minus the zip file out of whatchamacallit, what was it? It wasn't that many. It was like 68 plus 2, so 70. So out of 80 things, 78 EXEs, 2 DLLs. I wonder, are the 2 DLLs still there? Because Windows Defender doesn't care about DLLs as much. Yep, application extension, there they are. I don't know why that is either. So if you want to exploit Defender, you want to use DLLs for the most part. It really just treats executables like a lot more aggressively, in my opinion. We were able to use regserve during the last workshop to just load a DLL, and unfortunately, like, we didn't have enough context as to like what this thing does. So even though it loaded and it was there, we couldn't really see any noticeable activity just using like process listing, network connections. Other things would have been we dumped all the services. I think we did like get services within the container, and nothing really like stood out. Let's see. Now that we've done that, we've made this folder non-executable, so this maybe prevents a workshop participant from accidentally running a sample within this thing. So we can, I think we're done with this. Failed processing 0 file. Okay, cool. ¿Qué más? Yeah, thanks to the thread hunter for suggesting that I made this script too. So as we did that thread hunting Thursday series, I was like, hey, if you recommend something for like us to make and we make it, we'll give you credit if you want. So that was a good recommendation there. So I've set PowerShell to unrestricted as administrator on this host now, but it's okay. Let's do a check on time here. So I think it's going to be 9 here pretty soon. Let's see. We got a couple people here. Cool. So hey, if you're new, if you're just creeping, stalking, cool. I appreciate a follow if you could. Let's see. So we've done this. So we have tools. We have the two tools here. So maybe we should probably get some like Go samples to just shove in here, since we have Go Resim. Malware-Bazaar. I wonder if this has a quick tag here for Go. There's probably a tag for Go, maybe. Signature. Cobalt Strike. No. Maybe there's a tag for Go or Golang. Gozy. No. Hey, if you're on the chat, who can give me a good recommendation for a style of like malware family that is basically packed in Go, right? So it's mostly written in Golang. I have one in mind, but I'd like to, if you're here and you're active and you're willing to, chat, I'll wait a couple of minutes here for a good sample. So in the meantime, let's see if I can package Python into this thing. So I'm just going to cheat here. I'm just going to make a new volume. God, this is going to be like the dirtiest thing. It's dirty enough that it just might work too. So where were we? Was it program data? No, it is program. No, it's program data. Program data, volumes. So we have Python there, and this is our Python 3.11 folder. Do it. I did install this as administrator, so maybe there's some file permissions that need to get changed here. We shall see. In the meantime, I think I'm going to take a little break here, something like this. Red code. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to take a quick little break here. So BRB. All right. Let's see this red code link here. Let me copy this. Because if not, the other thing would have been like tag Golang. Would have been my other. Yeah. Cobalt Strike. Golang. Redbot Go. Red code. So Coldfire. Stupid mistake. Golang malware development library. Oh, this is actually much better than I'd kind of intended here. functions. It's pretty neat. What I meant was give me a more like a sample to analyze that's already packed in this. This is, I guess, even better if I wanted to just like make my own, from what it seems, because it's giving me a framework to potentially produce samples. If Windows go. Hmm. Hmm. It's looking for VirtualBox, VMware stuff, drivers associated with virtualization displays. This is actually much better, honestly, than and kind of like what I was more or less kind of really gravitating towards. Look, so there's some samples here that are, ELF binaries, probably a little bit safer. There's like one ELF, so that way we could have one ELF here. I don't even know if Kappa works. I've only used Kappa on Windows stuff, like full disclosure. I want to say that it should. Extract files, and then I want to extract this in samples, data. So that way, the next time people do this workshop, some of the stuff's already there. Infected. It's the password, and now it's still like send us the strongest warriors. It's hard. That's why I just like using that malware daily thing to just like, hey, just put things in there so I don't have to, try to like curate and be like, okay, you're gonna make it there, and I don't want to make exceptions, at least not for this system, because since it is going to be shared with other people, if it gets popped, it has to get popped with something good, It has a folder, and see, that's what happens when, stuff extracts and doesn't quite make it there. There are other things in here, but we're not gonna know for sure, because that's the problem with just downloading this malware daily thing. You don't really know what's all the things that are in there, so then you have to basically requery the same service you're pulling it from to get some more information from the samples. So let me focus on priorities here. You know what? Let's put a pin on that and do that for next time. So we have a tools volume, we have some samples, and we have an up-to-date image. So let me go to. I like that Coldfire recommendation though. Let me post. Like that GitHub thing that we did for defer. Let me throw this on here, just in case somebody needs it. You can put a watch there. You can put a star on it, or you can just bookmark it, and I'll never know. I like this Coldfire thing though. This actually seems. Who is Red Code Labs? Self-spreading binaries. What could go wrong? Bass Shark. Wow. It's a good share. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to check this out later, like a little bit more in depth. So, okay. So, I know this is probably going to happen. I remember setting my path in Windows ever since the DOS days. So it would be set path equals path. So you basically have to echo the path first, and then you add the path that you would want Python for. So Windows container. It should be the same. Set path. It should be the same. Pending path in a Windows Docker container. I've tried many permutations. Yeah, see this? Like a self-referencing string like that. Yeah, so run set xpath. Ah, okay. So, okay. I think I know what to do. So we're gonna do a Docker build. We're just gonna do like a little Docker file to do this, because doing this manually, not great. So manually wouldn't really make the thing the way that we want it. So I think I have Notepad or something here. Yeah. That's my image volume kind of stuff here. So this would be, let's see, I got an image. I want to use server core. Yeah, I want to use this. I'm just trying to copy the name. It's just going to copy the ID. That's not what I want. When you know how to use the CLI better than you know how to use the GUI. Please, sir, all I wanted was a string.
Red, blue, yellow, who cares? Those are just symbols the man uses to try to propagate social division.
From, and the tag would be this. Right? I think so. From image name and a tag, and then but oddly enough here, what we're trying to set, we don't have a good what's this thing? We don't actually have this thing yet. I don't know how to better explain this. I'm going to change the font here to make this not suck. And enhance. Did it actually change though? So, what do we want to call our mounts? So it'd be, oh, you know what? I can just set a path, and if it doesn't exist there, it's not going to matter because it's still going to search there. So, that's going to be cool. So I'm just going to call this, que sé yo, like Python. You don't need to get fancy. Was there a slash there before? Slash or no slash? No slash appends. I'm just going to call this Python. And I think that's it. We don't really... I guess we could just, I guess I could just eat it now. Add a limited user. Docker Windows, add non-root user. Syntax slightly different than when we did it with Linux on the previous couple of workshops. No, this is VS Code stuff. This is for Linux containers. Windows container. I want to say it's like net user add, and then I could just do a group and stuff like that, but I want to be like 100% sure. No, that's cap. That's not true. Screw it. The user, and I'm gonna call this non-root. And I know I have an exemplar here. Then I have to add like a... Do I need a password for this? Yeah, and these are, very old things. Add non-root user to a container, but that's Linux containers running. This command prompt. Nope. Yeah, container admin. This is what I don't want to use. Because look, ideally, you want to harden this image that you're going to be using to run your containers to at least have that difference of how does it look like when I run this with limited user permissions in comparison to how do I run this when I have admin privileges. But the thing is, the container admin isn't exact. It doesn't translate to like administrator on the host. So improved security definitely, but I got 14 minutes left here before I gotta go do some other stuff. User, container user. All right, set up. So I'm just gonna call this non-root. So that way, non-admin. I think, user. It's gonna be one of these two. User add, non-admin. Yeah, there. Net user. Oh, /add. Use our name. Look at that. Net use our. Why would he typo squat his own thing? Use our name. Not just me, is it? I know that's hard to see. Use our name. All right, I do this. That was close. Password is going to be something original. No. I'm going to single quote this because I have special characters in here, and I'm old. And from this thing, the work directory. Okay, so maybe you know what? I need another volume here. This volume output. I have an output volume, and then so we're going to have simple tools. Did I actually put my tools in simple tools, or did I put one of them? But that's old Kappa. So see, even I got confused here today. Where did we put our tools? Tools volume. Jesus. This is what we used last time, I think, for the last workshop. Workshop tools. Workshop tools. The other things that we would need, all this 7-zip stuff. Just to be able to extract things. I am the administrator. Nandato. Wow, even as the admin, it won't even let me copy some of these things. How interesting. Yeah. Let's try making a com file. That's the other way to invoke the... Move extensions here. It's at the con files. I need to be able to see. You can't have con files on Windows. ¿Qué más? I mean, I have the things that I used to initially extract these things. I'm just very surprised, right? I have this, so I can open this. So I needed a utility. I basically needed this thing. Honestly, I think it's just these two executables. If I have these two executables, that's all I need for 7-zip. How odd. And I am the administrator. And it won't just like, do a run as kind of deal here. That is pretty interesting. So I can make stuff, but it won't let me copy information between them. That is kind of annoying. So how about from here? So between volumes, that's an interesting restriction. I'd never seen this before. So this guy, 7-zip, extract. No, I just got to open the archive. I just basically need probably these. I want to kind of organize these a little bit too. Gluten. Yeah, I already made this mistake of like starting to prep a volume and then I just kind of abandoned it. And then when I run the workshops, I've got to do it anyway. So that's gonna save a lot of time here. All right, so we have a Docker volume. We have the image. We're starting to make a Docker file to do like a non-root user. So let's finish this. I know what we're missing. It's basically just like invoke this thing. I need to stage this in an area where basically other participants could potentially use this also. So that is on me. Docker file. The way to do this is going to be pretty easy. Do I have a downloads? No, documents. So I can do a Docker build for, I don't really need to give it a name, but I do need some like options here. So I definitely want to give it a name and a tag. So tag T, I'm going to call it UCTAMAS and April 8th, 2023, and a dot. From Alpine Latest, Nandato. I didn't say to use an Alpine Latest. Oh, dockerfile.txt. Okay, so by default, it's going to look for a file called Dockerfile with no extension. Apparently, I already had a Docker file in here, so that's on me. I'm pretty old. I just want to try this. There is no edit.com anymore on Windows. No. Man, that was like my go-to. I like remembered it like a couple of days ago, and I was like, I wonder, is this still here? This is how I used to read like text files before. Windows 95 era. So if I go to my documents, what's this other? This is probably something that I started here before. Ah, this is for the Tor container. Okay. So when you have these situations like these where you really want to build one Docker file, but you build the wrong one. And in my case, I've just built it and I tagged it with what I don't want. So if I did Docker images, right? Why didn't I give it a name? I gave it a name, UCTAMAS. No matching. How odd. I guess it didn't finish. Docker image ls. Contain. Definitely didn't make a container. So you can do like a Docker build this, and I think you give it a tac file and then dockerfile.txt. I'm glad I was paying attention because I was like, I definitely didn't do like an Alpine build. UCTAMAS. All right, so I somehow called my own workshop the wrong way. UCTAMAS. Now this C:/Python path doesn't currently exist. So what we're going to do is whenever we run the container, we're going to need at least 3 volumes. We're going to need a volume for the malware samples that we're evaluating, malware for the tools, and a volume to save outputs, right? So we need 3 things. I wonder if this Python path thing is going to work at all. Full disclosure, my streaming software probably has a bug. From what I've seen, after 90 or so minutes of streaming, I want to say it's exactly 94 minutes, always crashes. So if I drop out, I wanted to just change the streaming software that I use, like during like before today's stream, but I just couldn't, wasn't able to make the time for it. So if I suddenly disconnect, it's because of the software that I'm using right now. So UCTAMAS is there. Okay, so I could do let's go with some basics here. So I could do like Docker run, and I'm gonna give it a name. So Python test. And I'm going to use UCTAMAS in April 8th, 2023. So usually repository tag, keep it at the very end. So I'm just going to do tag v here, and I'm going to use my we've decided that the volume is called samples. Yeah. Samples, and then samples is going to go to C samples. Let me maximize this. Let's go to 24. It's the TAC V samples. Okay, so then tools. We have a tools volume. This is not the one that we want to use. It's called the workshop tools. So I want to use workshop tools, shop_tools, and that's going to mount to tools. And finally, output. A lot of unknowns here. I'm using a non-root user. I'm using 3 volumes. First things first is I I'm personally, I'm more interested in the Python thing than anything else. But username and password is incorrect. Hmm. So this is the thing when you just make users and stuff like this, right? So this is why I was under the impression that it's not like, no, you have to do other stuff here as well. And when we did this, right, I just said user non-admin wasn't actually created, right? So this is why we have to take a step back here and reintroduce this. Because I'd commented out. Sorry, excuse me. So we were adding a user, and then basically you're telling this, hey, this is how I want it to be. But too easy. And just do this again. It's going to, even if there's an existing container repository with tag, it's just going to get overwritten. So doesn't meet password policy requirements. Okay, fine. You notice how things are being echoed to the screen too. Keep that in mind as you're doing, like, this is why, like, build security and these, like, pipelines and temp files and stuff like that. All of this really, like, comes into play. I want it to be something I can type to. I don't want to lose my mind. All right, so then you can see these Docker files and figure out what the password was. Oh, it's right there. So you don't want to push a Docker file like this out to, like, somewhere. What was there? It's longer than 14 characters. It's like, what do I care about Windows 2K at this point? So, we looked at the example. I think there's a flag for, like, /yes. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. It's like an auto answer kind of deal. And that's how old I am. I just know flags like that. So let's see. Success. Cool. But will it though? You know, because we've already experienced the not so great. Oh, I do have the previous container that was running. So Docker RM and Python test. I had a participant in the previous workshop like encounter this kind of like problem too. I think part of the thing is the default font on some of these like terminals. I noticed this participant was using glasses, and I can't really account for what type of prescription people have, but I think I am going to modify the base templates to just have a bigger default like shell font to just get people along, you know, quickly doing stuff, so that way they don't have to, you know, worry about, you know, doing like minor tweaks like that, especially when it comes to like visibility things. Password is incorrect. Wow. Okay, so I am going to put a pin on non-root here for now because it's kicking my ass. This is something that I am going to have to finish before the next workshop. I don't think I'll have enough time to do it today. So I'm going to remove this thing and do my build here again. And I'm going to run it. So still a container admin now. I wonder why that is. I wonder why it's just complaining. It's not giving me opportunities to log in. You know, maybe it's because I'm backgrounding it and it's asking me to like log in immediately. But I want to test basic functionality out, and then we can get to the hardening part. And I am getting short on time here too, so this will probably be it. So docker execute -it python test and PowerShell. So I got a lot of things going. I got this, and then hopefully my DEF CON Biohacking Village talk gets picked up. I want to say it will, because I mean the thing that I'm gonna like open up and inspect, it's currently on the news. Puts a little bit of pressure on me too, because I'm not really gonna discuss security vulnerabilities and stuff like that. It's just gonna be like a tear down kind of deal. And apparently there's like a whole community of people that do firmware mods on CPAP machines, which one, why? Why are they having to modify medical equipment? You know, for equipment that presumably somebody's already either purchased through like a medical plan, or they've maybe purchased this out of pocket. So why are they doing firmware mods, and why aren't the manufacturers kind of like assisting with that? Seems like I have this weird scratch on my screen. I wonder what I did. I'm very confused now. I just noticed this thing. It's not a hair. Sorry. Let's see. Where am I at? I already knew that. I have output. I have samples. I have tools. So if I do echo so Windows has the maybe license code. Oh, so yeah. So you know how like John Deere and like companies like them, they'll sell you farming equipment, and now they want you to pay like a subscription to like use it every year for each harvest. I hope it's not that kind of deal, because I mean it is medical stuff. You would just expect, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why they're modifying these things. So that's going to be part of the research that I'm going to be doing. So anybody remember? If it's not this, like I would have expected, So get path. Is that a valid PowerShell thing? No? Alright, so how about this? If I did like a Python V, it doesn't know about Python. And that's one of the things we were hoping to set. Oh! Damn. I know why. Let me get rid of this thing. So I know why. Docker stop Python. I didn't mount the Python thing. Four mounts. And then tac v Python, I want to say I called it 311. Python. Python underscore. Yes, I've stopped it. I still haven't removed. I just want to keep reusing the name. Okay, this will get us going. Ah, 4 mounts. Why no work? See how it works on. So I know a lot of like the old stuff, and then sadly, that only gets you so far. And then my expectation is some of the commands are still backwards compatible. Alright. Come on, Python. Well, there you have it. It's like that's how you do it. So what I did was I installed Python as a administrator on the host. I went to, where was it, like program. Man, where was it? It was like users, administrator, and then app data, local, and then programs, Python. I basically just copied everything in this 311 like folder. I physically copied this into a volume. I don't like using the copy commands like that, or using like an intermediate container and stuff like that. And look, I'll caveat that and say it. If you're using a different like storage driver besides like the default one for the operating system that you're using, this probably may not work. One of the other options for like storage drivers when it comes to like Windows stuff is SMB shares, right? So you can set those. You can use NFS. But honestly, I'll be moving this workshop towards using like really dumb like object storage kind of drivers, but that's that's gonna be like further down. So Docker volumes, Python 311 underscore data, and I just basically just copy pasted stuff that was there. So again, Linux, everything is a file. This isn't any different. So now that I have Python, you know what I don't have? I ain't got no pips. Do I have pip? I do not have pip. So we did have pip in. Here's my little doggo. Hey. Programs. I did see a pip folder here. Pip cache. Not really sure where pip is in relation to this. Because I would expect it to be somewhere. Maybe like tools. No? I'm not really sure how pip gets installed here. Maybe it's program files kind of deal. But yeah, so we have Python. So the next thing that we would need would be pip. So if I were to go to Python here. See, and this is like another one that I would use a lot. Was it pip on local above program files? Yeah. That's what I thought too. So when I went in here, we were in like program data. Nope. No, we were in users, this, and then we went to like app data. Yep, local. See, there was a pip thing in here, but is this really it? See, it's like packages. It's probably not it. So if I did pip, there's no pip.exe. There's a pip folder. Pip.exe is in Python, which is what I thought. So then, so it is in our Python 3.11 folder scripts. So then what I could do now is, you know, like here where I set the path. So I want pip. And this is going to be relative to like CPython, right? So this will find the basically the Python binary that's in the root of that folder. So then this would be in scripts. Yeah, scripts. I think that should be good enough. ¿Qué más? So if I did Nandato. Oh, you see how the so basically there's a file in here that's still referencing like the original path. I wonder where it's deriving that information from. But oddly enough, you know, if I do this, yes. So there's probably a pip config folder here that has the wrong path. See, this is why I missed the A. Show me everything. Probably like a pip.conf folder somewhere that has some pathing stuff here, because I don't think I'm getting a pip.exe that's getting like custom, like built and compiled to have this path, right? It's clearly being read from somewhere else. So I'll have to dig up a little bit more on that. But look, I kind of have Python, but not really. Not really like 100% yet. I do have my tools. So now I should be able to do tools. Then dir, so I have kappa. So I could just do kappa.exe, and I want to analyze samples, and then just pick whatever the first thing is in here. Got a lot of old man pain right now. Yeah, look, it's working. So if the offender decides to flag this as it's being analyzed, it'll interrupt the analysis. So cool. So all right. So lazy boy. What's the thing here for kappa to do like output? So kappa, and then like I want to save my findings somewhere else. Rules, signatures, JSON. Oh, definitely want JSON. Output. Verbose. Signatures tag. Report match locations. So this tool by itself doesn't have an output flag. So we'll have to do this. And then we're also not going to do like we're not just going to do like a for loop in here within the container to go through the samples. We're actually going to do the loop outside the container. But you know what? Been doing this for almost 2 hours now, so that's it. I'm going to call it. All right, so we will pick this up hopefully next weekend. So we got a couple of things done. We were able to create our volumes, put some of our tools, pull down samples. We started experimenting with putting Python within a container by simply copying some of the files, putting them in a volume, and then changing the path within volume. So I think for next week we're gonna fix pip. We're gonna fix the limited user, right? So I'm definitely interested in getting that to work. I want this non-root user to work within the container, and we're gonna do we're gonna loop the analysis outside of the container, right? So in this case, since we know the file system, we could say basically just do like a simple like for loop, just be like, hey, for sample and samples do, and then the do is going to be a docker execute command to process the file inside of the container and then store the output into the output folder. And look, and once you can do it this way, even though you're just doing like a sequential like for loop, then you could potentially like register like an endpoint associated to that for like let's say maybe like a REST endpoint that triggers this type of call somehow, and we'll eventually get to there as we progress through the workshop. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Probably going to put this stream up on YouTube because it no accidents, no incidents today. And hey, I'd appreciate a follow. Hey, GhostCat2B, thank you. Provided some like good input there. There's some things that you shared that now I have to like research and follow up on. So I appreciate that. Thanks again. Hey, and with that, thank you so much. Take care.